את אדוני המבורך, ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד, ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. יא ניי 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 ניי, יא ניי ניי יא ניי 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 ניי, יא ניי 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 ניי, יא ניי 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 ניי.
Please do have a seat if you like. I invite you to join with me in the English of the creation prayer. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim. Join with the cantor in the singing of Ahavat Olam.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל אמרת, תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשכבנו וקומנו נשיח בחוקך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תשים ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
And Brianna, I'm going to invite you to lead us now in the chanting of the Ve'ahavta. Ve'ahavta.
For some reason.
Jackie, we're not hearing through your mic that Brianna's not close enough, I think, for us to all pick up her chanting. Brianna, can I ask you, I hate to ask you to do it again, but I could see your lips moving. Can I get you a little closer to your computer mic and a little louder on the chanting for us? I'm sorry, hon. One more time. Thanks, Mom, for moving. Jackie, thank you. Right up close to that microphone on the computer, Brianna. We're still all learning how to Zoom. Yesher Koche. Excellent job. Thank you for your leadership. Don't leave. Still have to do Kiddush with us. We go ahead to our next slide as we join together in the reading for the redemption. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, and that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, and that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together, joining in the words with the cantor of the Mi Chamocha.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נא תהילות אוסף אלינו תהילות. מלכותך ראו בניך בקי הים לפני משה ומרים. זילי אנו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Amen. We join with the cantor in praying that our souls be safe and protected as we lay down this night the words of Hashkivenu, and that we arise tomorrow to a world more at peace.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu לשלום, לשלום. והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים, ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום, מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, או אדוני, הפורש סוכת שלום. אדוני עלינו ועל כל עמו, ישראל ועל ירושלים, אמן, 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 אמן,
We join with the cantor in reading these words of Exodus 31, Vishamru, a reminder that the touchstone of the covenant between the Creator of all and our people Israel is this weekly observance, this day of rest we call Shabbat.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We arise in body and or spirit, turning our hearts and our focus toward the holy city, city of peace, Jerusalem, as we imagine ourselves ascending to that heavenly throne room, the Jerusalem on high, as we put the needs and the yearnings and the aspirations of ourselves, our families, our community before the Creator of all. Adonai שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Yananai, nai, nai, 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 yananai, nai, nai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu
ואלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק, ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל, ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה, אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל, אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללו הסלע, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
And I'll invite you to have a seat at this time if you wish, or if you wish to remain standing through the end of Tafilah at the prayer for peace, whatever your custom. We join together. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh HaShabbat. Together, ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. You are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, shotecha levadecha b'yirah na'avod. Together, God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. We come to the final prayer of the Tafilah, the prayer for peace, Shalom Rav, in the evenings, and I know the cantor and I invite you to sing along with us.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Ki ata hu melech, melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech, melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. V'tov b'necha levarech et amcha Yisrael, v'tov lito b'chol shah b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim לעולם, שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, ברוך הוא ברוך שמו, הברך את עמו ישראל ושלום.
The sages of antiquity were concerned lest our prayer become totally rote, only the recitation of words scripted by others, and we lose our own impulse to compose words within our hearts. So they set for this time at the end of Tafilah this opportunity for us to offer our own prayers, our own words, our own hopes, reflections, aspirations, yearnings, prayer.
יהיו לרצון עם רפי והגיון ליבי לפניך. יהיו לרצון עם רפי והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגואלי. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגואלי. יהיו לרצון עם רפי והגיון ליבי לפניך. יהיו לרצון עם רפי והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגואלי. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגואלי.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Just going to move a few things around here so that I can find my sermon. Whether we're virtual or in reality, the papers of the sermon always seem to end up someplace I didn't expect them. Shabbat Shalom. Many of us who are annual rereaders of the biblical story of the Exodus will recognize that this week's Torah portion, Bo, is the episode where we almost imperceptibly transition from Pharaoh hardening his own heart for the first 5 plagues on Egypt, and with a minor grammatical change, but a huge problem in theology, God starts hardening Pharaoh's heart for the remaining 5 plagues. Even before the plagues, the Torah sets up the scenario, going all the way back to Moses' brother Aaron, turning his staff into a serpent, and that serpent swallowing all the serpent staffs of Pharaoh's magicians. As we read, Aaron's rods swallowed their rods, but Pharaoh's heart stiffened, and he would not heed them, as the Eternal had said. And the Eternal said to Moses, Pharaoh is stubborn. He refuses to let the people go. All the way through the 5th plague, Dever, that's cattle disease, which is found at the beginning of chapter 9 of Exodus, we read a variation on this phrase for the first 5 plagues. Yet Pharaoh remained stubborn, and he would not let the people go. it remains Pharaoh's choice. He stays stubborn. It's only when we turn the corner onto the second set of plagues, beginning with the sixth plague, Shechin, boils, that the text of Torah ever so minutely changes. As we read, "But the Eternal stiffened the heart of Pharaoh, and he would not heed them, just as the Eternal had told Moses." As I just mentioned, this small change, really in subject and object to the verb, is remarkably troublesome to the rabbinic commentators down to this day. That's because of our central Jewish affirmation of human free will, which has perhaps its most succinct statement in a four-word rabbinic teaching from Pirkei Avot, Hakol tzafui v'hareshut netuna. Although everything is foreseen by God, free will is still given. The first clause makes sense if we envision a God who exists outside of time, as opposed to we who exist in time. In some sense, God is watching the video, but the actions of those in the recording are still their own. Free will applies. Theologically speaking, the affirmation of free will is an essential proposition of Judaism. None other than the great philosopher sage Maimonides, Rambam, wrote, "Were a person compelled to act according to the dictates of predestination, then the commandments and prohibitions of the Torah would become null and void, and the Torah would be completely false, since a human being would have no freedom of choice in what he does." In reality, writes Rambam, the undoubted truth of the matter is that a person has full sway over all their actions. If a person wishes to do a thing, he does it. If she does not wish to do it, she need not, without any external compulsion controlling them. Therefore, God very properly commanded us, saying, from Deuteronomy, "See, I have set before you this day life and good, death and evil. Therefore, choose life," giving us, as regards these, writes Maimonides, freedom of choice. So, what shall we make of God hardening Pharaoh's heart in this week's Parsha, which, by the way, is a Hebrew idiom that really better translates "God kept Pharaoh stubborn." Maimonides, again, writing 1,000 years ago in Egypt, opines that the Torah comes to teach us in the example of Pharaoh and the 10 plagues that our choices have consequences not only externally, but also internally. Quote, "Pharaoh and his followers, already of their own free will, without any constraint whatever, had rebelled by oppressing the strangers who were in their midst, having tyrannized over them with great injustice. This they did through the dictates of their own free will and the evil passions of their hearts, without any external constraint forcing them thereto. The punishment which God then inflicted upon them," writes Maimonides, "was that God withheld from them their own power of teshuvah, their own power to change, so that there should fall upon them that punishment which justice declared should be meted out to them." If that language is a little opaque, let me summarize. Having chosen again and again to only say no of Pharaoh's free will, Pharaoh eventually gives up his ability to change and say yes. Pharaoh gives up his freedom, his free will, and in doing so allows God to intrude and act upon him in this manner. Now, while this is an elegant philosophical solution to philosophers worrying about God interfering with human free will, I'd like for a moment to take Maimonides' solution and not focus on God or theology, but on Pharaoh. The notion being argued that a human being, especially one in a position as powerful as Pharaoh, can so paint themselves into such a corner that they then are unable to change. In modern terms, the argument is that out of our refusal to change develops our inability to change. we can lock ourselves into behaviors. We can paint ourselves into a corner from which we then refuse to escape. I feel obliged tonight to acknowledge and reflect upon a modern response to a plague that changed just this past Wednesday with the change of presidential administrations. Now, arguably, but for the prior presidential administration's refusal to acknowledge and recognize the impact of COVID-19 and change its approach, there might have been no change in the resident of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. But 400,000 Americans have died. 25 million have been infected, in large part because of the previous administration's unwillingness and inability to change course. Like Pharaoh, denial has been the constant in responding to this plague, a denial born of ego and sycophantic advisors. You would have thought that once Pharaoh's magicians had their own serpent staffs swallowed in public by Aaron's single serpent staff, that Pharaoh would have recognized his error in judgment and ignored the magicians, but he stubbornly stayed the course. What a remarkable parallel to our own day. Like Pharaoh, the previous administration painted itself into a corner. And yet, the disturbing truth is, if all we have actually done is painted ourselves into a corner, we are free to choose to change our situation and walk right out at any time. It's just that it's embarrassing. It leaves marks on the floor and on your shoes. It reveals and leaves evidence of a change in judgment on our part. It admits to at least the possibility of one's having made a mistake. That is why yesterday's executive orders to address COVID-19, our modern plague, seem so simultaneously simple and remarkable. It's not as if any of them are rocket science. They are built around science and common sense. These directives, in fact, could have been adopted a year ago. And if they had, the previous presidential administration would have received positive credit for them and likely would still be sitting in the White House today. But they weren't. They weren't. For within our human capacity to choose and change is also the human inclination to decline and refuse. We human beings, like Pharaoh, can jettison our own free will. We can reject our innate ability to observe and learn, to adjust and change. But there are consequences for doing so. Consequences to our interior self, and consequences to those around us. The judgment of history has little tolerance for denial. The rabbis of the Midrash imagined Pharaoh in a new role following his drowning at the Red Sea. He was appointed guardian of the gates of Gehenna, the realm of posthumous punishment. Whenever a new denizen of Gehenna would be brought to the gates, Pharaoh would castigate him, saying, "Fool, why didn't you learn your lesson from me? God sent 10 plagues against me, but I was stubborn. Did you need all that to happen to you as well?" Let's hope that we don't. Let's hope that we can change, that we can exercise our free will for the better. Ken Yehi Ratzon, Shabbat Shalom. As always, I am privileged to share my thoughts and reading of Torah. I invite, once Shabbat is done, please do send me an email, a message, share your insights, your reactions. I really do appreciate it. We are going to turn now to share names aloud for healing and blessing, whether it's something minor, modest, or major. I am going to share names for healing, for the prayers. I'm going to call to mind for blessing and healing David Goldblatt, Anne Saltalamacca. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing this correct, and I hope someone will correct me. Alex Salt Alamakia, Moshe Aaron Ben Gittel V'chaim, Bela Rivka Bat Esther B'Shmuel Pesach, Richard Nicholson, Peter Hort, Harvey Hutter, Jody Perlmuth, Robert Mallon, Helene Furman Gold, Gloria Sancho, Jenny St. George, Yigal Ben Alana, Arthur Rose, Aksan Faruqi, Elia Ben Label, Vigita Kenya, Chava Gittel Bat Freda, Yona Bat Ephraim Yechezkel, Miriam, Vega Devasha Bat Shendel, Florence Spire, Deborah Spire, Alex Lip, Yona Chaya Bat Miriam, Davida, Ruth Bat Binyamin Bakava, Steve Brown Inns, Yonatevia Ben Label, Vigita Kenya, Renee Fishzone, Moshe Ben Leah, Nancy Lazar, Delroy Aline. I invite you to share names aloud or to send them to me on the chat. Let me just see the names that have come on up so that I can share those with you as well. Ryan Martell, Tom and Karen Robards, Ellen Eisen, David Radin, Howard Orlin, Helen Perlstein, Judy Rabb, Joan Millman, Gail Schiffman, Jerry Ann Abriano, Colette Thompson, Nikki Rosenbaum, David Fry, Emily Ty. Any other names? Jen, Charlotte Hillsberg, Philip Wren, Willow Wren, Julio Ciccio, Jen Wilkov, Ray Skinnell, Sharona Birkin. Any other names, please? Brian Fitzpatrick, Jen Chinelli. And I'll share the screen again so that we can join with the cantor in the singing of our prayers for healing, and ask cantor to lead us now.
Mi shebeirach avoteinu mekol haberacha le'imotenu. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi shebeirach imotenu mekol haberacha le'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Amen. King Yiratzon, may it be God's will. We join in prayers for our nation and for the state of Israel. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our countries sound in body and spirit. Amen. O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land, and grant them deliverance, and adorn them in a mantle of victory. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. And we say, Amen. We come to our concluding prayers as we rise in body and or spirit as we are able for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגורלנו להמליך מלכותו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בקווי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום בהשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא אלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Our thoughts turn now to those gathered with us through the blessing that is memory. We call to mind these recent passings in our congregational community in Shloshim, passing of Thomas Morden Boykoff, recalled by Emily Berger, also Andy and Evan, the passing of Seven Gershel, recalled by Lale Otakon, passing of Maureen Tremblay, recalled by Pat Rosenblum, Erin, Seth, and Carly, passing of Peter Houts, recalled by David Houts, Becky Berman, Leo, and Isaac, and the passing of Elaine Quint Rose, recalled by Judy Fishman, Alan, Eddie, Jesse, Ben, Lizzie, Sam, and Teddy. We also recall those whose yahrzeit falls at this season of the year. Alexander Shanzer is recalled by Olivia Shanzer. Susie Dull is recalled by Alexis Barad Cutler. Hans Shapiri is recalled by Benjamin Shack. Jenny Lazar is recalled by Nancy Lazar. Joseph Rabin is recalled by Jerry Armine Klein. Jeffrey Aaron is recalled by Marcia Bellows. Sean Cleary is recalled by Ryan Cleary. Florence Burrows is recalled by Babette Krolik. Lothar Stiefel is recalled by Karen Stiefel. Jack Gottesman is recalled by Ross Brown. Benjamin Slade is recalled by Robin Slade. Samuel Rothenberg Radley is recalled by Dahlia Radley Kingsley. Leonard Rosenblum is recalled by Pat Rosenblum. Sarah Loeb is recalled by Charlotte Simon. Leonard Morelli is recalled by Rosary Morelli. Henry Krolik is recalled by Babette Krolik. Beatrice B. Sheldon is recalled by Rhonda Epstein. Robert Burrick is recalled by Lauren Kessler. Bob Fink is recalled by Jennifer Axe Newman. Bernard Fleet is recalled by Ellen Edelman. Herschel Turk is recalled by Sabina Turk. Sophie Deckelbaum is recalled by Sharon Kosakoff. Harry Brown is recalled by Arlene Brown. Bastian Judah Benjamin Los Tenhouden is recalled by Leisha Tenhouden. Sharon Coppell is recalled by Lisa Coppell Hubble. Isaac Bergansky is recalled by Alexandra Sasha Bergansky. Bernice Zuckerman is recalled by Taryn Turner. Barbara Mendel is recalled by Sandra Schapp and Sebastian Schapp. Esther Loeb is recalled by Rachel Loeb, and Franklin Rosenfield is recalled by Paul Stark. If I have inadvertently mispronounced any of these names or failed to share aloud a name, I want you please to share those names with me at this time. I see the names of Gerda Gross, Faye Wilkov. If you'd like to share the name aloud and unmute yourself, please do. Anyone else who has a name before Kaddish to share? Father of Rivka Shakau, and anyone else. We sanctify their memories as we sanctify their names, as we sanctify God's name, and we pray for the coming of God's realm with the words of Kaddish Yatom, Mourner's Kaddish. As I say each week, although it is cacophonous, it is a holy cacophony that we offer up. So I invite you to unmute yourself, and we will recite Kaddish together aloud. I'm confident it will weave together into harmony as it approaches the divine throne. Yit Gadal,
Gadal
Yit
v'yitkadash
Kadash, Shemei
v'yishamei
Rabba, Be'alma,
Be'alma divrach
Yirah,
yotei
Yerusei,
v'yamlich malchutei
Yamlich, Malchutei, Bechaye,
v'tachon yom echon
Yom Uvchaye,
v'chayei techon
Beit Israel,
Yisrael
Ba'agala,
ba'agala
Bizman
v'gizman
Parim,
imru
Imru.
amen
Yehei,
Yehei
Shmei,
Shmei Rabba
Rabba,
Mevorach
Barak, La'olam,
Leolam
La'amei,
Olamim
Yah.
Amayam
Yitbarach,
Yitbarach
Yishtabach,
v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar
Yitar,
Shema
Yitamam,
Yitnaseh Yadar
Yitzhadar, Yitalech,
Yitaleh
Yitalal, B'mei,
B'nei
Shema,
Shama
B'richu,
B'richu
Leila,
Leila min kol birchata
Birchata, B'shirata,
B'shirata
Ushta,
Tishbata
V'nechmata,
Nechmata Aviram
Aviram,
Alma
Alma,
Imru
Imru,
Amen
Amen. Yehei,
Hey
Shalom,
Shlama
Rabba,
Rabba
In
In
Shamayim,
Shamayim
Chaim,
Chaim
Aleinu,
Aleinu
Yal
Ve'al
Kol
Kol
Yisrael,
Yisrael
Imru,
Ve'imru
Amen.
Amen
Osei Shalom,
Shalom
Uvracha,
Bimrama
Hu Yaseh
Shalom
Shalom,
Aleinu
Aleinu,
Aleinu
Kol
Kol
Yisrael,
Yisrael
Imru, Amen.
Amen.
May the source who makes peace on high cause peace to descend upon us, all Israel, our entire world, and let us say,
Amen.
we join with
Oseh Shalom Bimrama Yaseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Ve'imru Amen Yaseh Shalom Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael.
I'm going to call upon the president of our congregation, Marcia Bellows, to unmute and share this Sabbath Eve's announcements with all of us. Marcia, please.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I'd like to thank the cantor for the wonderful music, and Miriam and Rabbi Lip for the thought-provoking sermon. And I'd like to give a special mazel tov to the Wilson family on Brianna's bat mitzvah tomorrow. I'm sure it will be a wonderful day. I have a few announcements. Tomorrow is Havara with student Rabbi Healy Blackman at 9:30. At 10:30 is Brianna's bat mitzvah. And then we have some interesting programming for this week. On Thursday, January 28th is Tu B'Shvat, the birthday of the trees. For the grown-ups, the plan is for a wonderful Shabbaton, 7 to 9 p.m. It's going to be the celebration of the environment and growth and life and rebirth. We have 5 clergy coming. I believe Rabbi Lip, Rabbi Kane, Cantor Ayelet, Rabbi Lerman, and Rabbi Pill. And we are going to have a brief service, and then we will have some breakout rooms with interesting commentary by the clergy. And for the children, our Super Shabbat concert is also Thursday at 5 p.m. with Oren, who will help the children celebrate Birthday of the Trees. It's great for ages from 0 to 5. And then on Saturday, we have a getting to know you event, different from what we usually do. But at 8 p.m., we have a Havdalah with everyone. And then we're going to do breakout rooms to meet and kibitz with our neighbors. So it's going to be a terrific week, and Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom, Marcia. Thank you so much. We are going to go back to our screen share and Adon Olam, I believe, as the cantor leads us in singing. Let me see if I can get us there.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא אחד ואין שני להמשיל ולהכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית בלא העוז והמשרה והוא אלי וחי גואלי וצור חבלי בעת צרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום מקרא בידו הפקיד רוחי בעת אישן ועירה ואם רוחי גביעתי אדוני לי בלא יירא.
So, Brianna, I don't know if you have your Kiddush cup at the ready, but I'll invite everyone. If you haven't, I haven't filled mine, so here's my Manishevet ready to go. My Kiddush cup, new-ish, very good. I'll invite you to fill it with some grape juice, wine, brandy, whatever is the beverage. And I'm going to invite Brianna to raise up her cup as the cantor leads us in the preliminaries for the Kiddush, and then we'll ask Brianna to lead us in the actual Kiddush itself.
ויהי ערב ויהי בוקר יום השישי ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות.
Brianna?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'rata banu b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereshit. Ki hu yom tehillah lamikrei kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim kivanu baharta ve'otanu kidashta מכל המין, בשבת קודשה, באהבה וברצון, הנהלתנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת.
Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Beautiful job. If you have a challah at the ready, I'll invite those who do, and those who don't can touch their screen, I guess, sort of chain of blessing through the ether. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. B'tei avon, mazel tov yesher koach. Brianna, mazel tov on achieving this weekend. We look forward to tomorrow. Thank you, Cantor. Thank you, Miriam Daly. And I'm going to turn off the screen share and leave the Zoom running for kibitzing for everyone. Feel free to unmute yourself.
Hello, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
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 Gail, are you back in New Jersey?
Yep, we know by the curtains.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
You got
They would not be in Gail's apartment.
It's very funny. Everyone, everybody.
That's what we said.
It's not me. Well, I taught you well. I'm very happy.
Hey, Olivia, how are you?
Shabbat Shalom. Who's that? Who
Mike.
spoke? Hi.
How's it?
Hi. Wait, I need gallery view.
Jen, how are you?
And love the good news. Keep it up. We're running out of superlatives for you.
Yes.
Amazing.
And really, a miraculous MRI scan on Tuesday. My neurology oncologist read me this this MRI report, and she pointed to it, and her comments were remarkable and beyond expectations, because it says further slight improvement in residual lesions, meaning the scars continue to heal, which they didn't even know they could, and no new metastasis, no new nothing. So actually she, I don't know how many of you know this, but she uses my case to educate radiology oncologists that they don't need to use radiation, whole brain radiation, for people who have cancer riddled in their brain like I did in January 2018. I've never had any radiation treatment ever, and I've cleared almost completely. Fantastic.
That's amazing. Just amazing. Andy's sitting there quelling. Look at him.
Yes.
So very grateful. It's been a very grateful 24 hours.
Wonderful.
Happy inauguration date, everyone, also.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
wow.
To those who are celebrating, amen.
All told, a good week.
Yeah.
Yes, a very good week.
All right,
Can
Shabbat
you
Shalom,
hear me?
folks.
No.
Yeah.
Olivia, say hi to Dan. Yep.
Bye-bye.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Ah.
Good.
Thank you.
Hi, Peggy. Bye.
Bye.
I love that.
Well, we hope you guys all have a wonderful Shabbos. We'll see you in Chavara, those that are
See you
there.
tomorrow.
Many blessings. May
Can
everybody.
you hear me?
See you then.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I seem, okay,
Hi, Barbara. Hi, Mike.
because I don't see me.
Oh, I see you.
Oh, we see you.
Anyway.
Okay. Right, I've got a cat here. She's joining the party.
Gail, I'm so glad your parents are doing so well. It's really great.
Thank you. It's
It's
slow,
just great, yeah.
but it's in the right direction. So slow is going to be okay.
Mhm.
Totally. It's great.
Yeah.
No, they look just like my parents, sort of. Really.
Yeah. Well, the only reason I was able to see my mom yesterday because she's getting dialysis right near the house. I was like, oh, I bet I can stalk and, see her when she's leaving. But she ended up being the only one there at the end. So they were like, come on in. Like, okay.
Oh, okay.
So she leaves where they are and then goes to get the dialysis.
Yeah, there was nowhere that took COVID patients and also did dialysis, because most people do dialysis as an outpatient.
Yeah.
So
I was lucky enough to get, well, we've all gotten our first shots, including my parents, finally. So we feel like, we're that much closer to.
Yeah, I know. I feel like,
towards-
my parents would have been able to get the first shot by now. And it's like, oh, they were so close to making it to the finish line without getting sick, but it is what it is. But,
well,
they're recovering. So
yeah, it's really amazing.
I
right?
hope it keeps going that way. Yeah. I mean, I spoke to my sister-in-law today who said, that they still have to take like 3 naps a day. So I was like, all right, you're 30 years younger. So I think we'll just have to take this at the pace that it occurs.
Yeah, there's a lot of sleeping going on with my parents, and they're, so, knock on wood, healthy. A lot of sleep.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for my mother, I hope that the kidneys start working. Well, the dialysis place that they did blood work, so I'm going to check on that next week, follow up, because it would be really nice if her kidneys were healing.
How often does she go?
3 times a week.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's a lot, and they take her in an ambulance, so it's a big ordeal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Do they have a caretaker who comes in once they get home?
Well, they've had 2, but the likelihood is they're going to need a whole different level of care. And I can't really set it up until I have some idea when they're coming home. But I think we will plan on it being 24 hours because that's what we think they need. So, we'll see.
I guess.
I'm in the house now and I'm kind of looking around like, okay, where would we put this overnight aid? How are we going to do that? So.
Do you use an agency that's local or?
It's complicated. So far, we've used Jewish Family Services out of Cherry Hill.
Okay.
But now that they need a different type of care, because before it was just driving them places, house cleaning.
Right.
A little bit of food, but now they're going to need more care. So my mother has long-term care insurance. My father has VA insurance. It's going to be like getting the whole.
Putting it all together.
Yeah. One of the things I thought I would do today, but not yet.
I was just saying to Michael last night that if my parents, or I have to talk to my brother and see if my parents should come back to New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And if they do, we're going to definitely have to set up a whole new thing. But if they come to New Jersey, I'm not sure they'll ever come back to Florida or vice versa. It's getting very complicated.
Yeah, my parents stopped Florida about 4 years ago. I think 4 or 5 years that they've been here. But, we have a big issue to figure out, like, is this house really appropriate for them? I mean, it's a split level house.